Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Fire with Dr. Ninja Turtle. We are going to do our June budget recap, and then we're going to estimate the amount of money that we have coming in July. And I'll give you a couple of things that are happening in July that we're expecting to spend our money on. So let's get right into it. This month, what I did is I'm separating out lawn care from personal expenses. I used to lump them all together, but now I am starting to separate business expenses from personal expenses, also other expenses that are not my monthly personal expenses. So you'll see that as we get into this. This month, I spent $660 on lawn care. I have about 4 acres to be mowed, and it was mowed twice this month, so $330 per mowing. The IRS, I paid $750 towards my regular quarterly taxes that are due for the year of 2026. I'm also paying back in a line of credit what I owed the IRS from 2025. So I'm sort of making double payments this year. But this is my first month of doing this. So I'm just beginning my debt payoff journey. Car insurance this month was $1,784.04. That went on my credit card, but I cash flowed it by paying more than that on my credit card this month. However, going forward, I'm going to put $167 a month to the side to have that money when the car insurance is due next. Let me point out these expenses, which are not under my personal expenses, because these are travel expenses. And under my personal expenses are just what I spend normally at home on food, gas, and medical. That's my normal monthly spending. So what I spent while on vacation in Spokane this month, $377.89 on meals. I'm a heavy tipper, just so you know. Air travel for July, because I'm going on vacation again in July, was $775.39. Vacation car rental in Spokane was $418.57, and vacation gas between getting to the airport to go to Spokane and what I spent in the rental car on gas in Spokane was $47.14. Let's get into my personal expenses for the month. For medical, I spent $237.84. Some of this is doctor bills. Other parts of it are for my diabetes monitor. For gas here at home, I spent $45.27 in gas. I didn't drive that much at home during the month. For my garbage, which happened to be about 4 months behind in payments, I had to fix that, so I had to pay $95.60. Normally, it will be $20 every month for the big garbage can outside. My internet is $72.95. My Adobe subscription, which is the only subscription I have, I use it mostly for my schools because I need the Adobe Professional Acrobat. That's what I need. However, it gives me the entire Adobe suite for this $43.19 because I get a discount being an academic professor. I get the education discount. So I take the whole suite. I can edit my YouTube videos with that. I can make my thumbnails with that. I do everything with that $43.19 a month. We have a new Aldi's in my town. This is a new line item where I only buy unsalted sunflower seeds. That's it. That's the only reason I go to Aldi. And when I go, I buy as many big bags as I can so that I only have to go once every 2 or 3 months. I also received a bag of sunflower seeds from Aldi's from my puppy. So there you go. So I have plenty of unsalted sunflower seeds to last me for a long, long time. but I spent $59.26 at Aldi's. This was an unusually high month for Sam's Club. I did a chat GPT on my spending at Sam's Club, and over the course of 2 years, I did not spend more than $900 at Sam's Club. When I go, I stock up, but then I don't have to go many times after that. Mostly what I buy is coffee and cream, but you could have guessed that. So here we have our totals. It's high because I spent $403.50 at Walmart this month. I did a lot of shopping at Walmart. I was running low on food, and so I stocked up my freezer with food from Walmart. So the total spending on my credit card, which includes vacation spending and my regular monthly spending, and that's why I'm breaking those two out into two separate items. I might spend something on my credit card. Let's just say I need tires on my car. That might go on my credit card, but then I'll pay that off within the same month from cash flow. But that is not my normal monthly spending. So my normal monthly spending is food, medical, and gas. Those are the three items. Those three items was $1,220.61. So I went over my $900 a month budget for personal spending. Do I plan on getting that down? Yes, I do. My total spending on my credit card this month was $4,623.64. And I will show you as we progress how much more than that I put on my credit card to make sure I do not increase my credit card balance. I also want to point out that I spent more in the month of June than I spent in the month of May. I plan to spend less in the month of July than I did in the month of June. Part of that is because I will be traveling less in the month of July. So let's recap my personal spending and my total credit spending before we get into how much I actually spent on my credit card and how much I actually paid on the credit card, as well as my lines of credit. So I spent $1,220.61 on personal expenses for the month. So that was above my $900 limit that I try to give myself. With travel and car insurance added, I spent a total of $4,623.64. Now we're looking at my credit card spending. At the beginning of June, I owed $6,710.84 on my credit card. So I've been bringing it down from the $8,000 where I started. The interest on my credit card was $72.43. All of that spending that I just mentioned on my credit card was $4,623.46. But I paid, as you can see from the columns on the right, I made 5 payments, which totaled $4,966.69. And we'll get into a little bit later how much that reduced my credit card payment. But the current balance at the end of June is $6,440.22. Now, also keep in mind, this is just a little spoiler alert for a little bit later. I will make more money in July than I made in June. This is my line of credit that I used to pay back the IRS for 2025 that I am now paying off in 2026. The balance at the beginning of June was $23,885.77. The interest I paid is $224.99. Now, I made 3 payments that totaled $1,600. My minimum payment was $1,500, so I paid $100 extra on this line of credit. And that's my plan, is until I pay off my credit card and then start putting all of my extra money using the snowball method onto this line of credit, I will pay just a little bit extra to offset some of the interest that I'm paying. This is my regular line of credit that I used in case of emergencies that I am now paying down. This is my second line of credit that I will pay off after I pay off the IRS. When I finish paying off the IRS, I will close that line of credit that we just looked at. With this line of credit, I owe at the beginning of June $25,405.18. This one has a lower monthly minimum payment. The other one has a $1,500 a month minimum payment, no matter what the balance. This one goes down each month as I lower the balance. And so the minimum payment was $508.10. But as you can see, I put an extra $100 on it this month to lower the balance just a little bit until I can focus on it a little bit later in the year. Now we are looking at my HELOC, which I have not shown before, but this is my third line of credit that I am paying on. So when you add up all of these lines of credit, which we'll see in a little bit, then you'll get the total of how much I owe that I'm trying to pay off this year and how much I'm paying off this month. At the beginning of June, I owed $30,720.68 on this HELOC. The interest rate is small, so I only pay $2.98 in interest. So what I paid was I paid the minimum of $305.72. Because this is my lowest bill, I'm paying the minimum on this one and a little bit extras on the other ones until I can snowball my way to this line of credit. This is Editing Daryl here. I am starting the video recording again at this point because I got through most of the video and realized that the sound stopped at this point in the video recording. So let's continue on. My total amount owed in June was beginning at $86,722.47. That's all four of my debts. The ending balance is $84,434.85. So I have reduced my debt in the month of June, even though I traveled, by $2,287.62. Now, let's look at how much I paid on each of my debts and how much I reduced the balance on each of my debts. So on my credit card, I paid $4,966.69, which reduced it because I traveled this month only $270.62. I do call that a win because I plan to reduce it quite a bit more in July because I'm traveling, but I'm not traveling as much as I did in June. On my line of credit, I paid $608.10, which was an extra $100, and I reduced that balance by $339.25. My $1,500 minimum payment line of credit, I paid an extra $100 there, and that balance was reduced by $1,375.01. And lastly, on my HELOC, I paid $305.72, which was the minimum, and it reduced my balance by $302.74. So those are my totals for what I've reduced my balance in the month of June. And again, I plan to do better in July. As we can see, my retirement accounts from my three colleges Even though I'm only working at 2 right now, I have retirement accounts at the 3 that I had up until now. And the balance went down from $157,022.27 to $152,799.44. This does not take into account my health savings account. So when you add that in, which we'll do a little bit later, you'll see my total retirement savings amount. What I want to point out here, and this is something I haven't pointed out in the past, is my retirement account with the government is very tiny. However, I don't want to close that account because you can reuse that government retirement account. You can add more money back into it from an IRA in the future as long as you never close it. So that balance was up 9.31% this year so far for a half a year. My 3 retirement accounts that you looked at above is up 11.5% because I'm a very aggressive investor, because I should not ever need to pull that money. So it will stay there for many, many years. It so far is up $17,000 this year, even though it's down quite a bit in this 1 month. I've still made quite a bit of money so far this year. So all we can do is hope for a good rest of the year. Now, one of the things, again, that's brand new this month that I'm showing you is how much equity I increase on my rentals every month. Now, this is the money that the renters are paying off on my debt each month. That is $3,945. That's how much the renters pay off on my mortgage each month, for an annual growth of $47,340 per year. So that's just money that I have in debt that other people are paying off. And when you count in the fact that they pay my insurance, they pay my property taxes, and all of that every single month, then this is a very profitable business, because I also get to deduct the interest payments on the mortgage. I get to deduct what I pay on insurance. I also get to depreciate the properties. So what that means is that for the most part, for right now, any profit that I have as cash flow, that is all mine and totally tax deductible. That's the way our government works. I always like to show you my savings rate, because I am putting some amount of money to the side for property taxes. I will be putting money to the side for car insurance and many other categories as I have more income and less bills and debt to pay off. So my savings rate, in theory, will increase. However, for the rest of this year, I am expecting it to go down. I will start off 2027 with a high goal for a high savings rate like I did this year. So June, I had a 25% savings rate, which is still very high according to US standards. Now we're looking at how much I made net income in the month of June and what percentage of that net income I spent on my personal life. And so my pension and my Social Security are stable. My teaching income is variable, like my rental income. So I cannot rely on rental income each month. That is just the way that rental properties go. Sometimes you have renters that don't pay you, and then they pay you double the next month. Sometimes you have high maintenance costs that you did not see coming. Maybe a floor needs to be replaced, or a roof needs to be patched. So you do not know what's going to happen month to month. Maybe a refrigerator needs to be replaced. So in rental income this month, I had very high maintenance costs, and I made minus $14 in rental income. And again, we don't know what that will be until about the 10th of the month. I did receive a refund for overpaying the state of Alabama, and I used that for debt payoff. I am waiting on the refund for my federal taxes. And what I will do is just return that to the federal government as payments for 2026. So, what we had in June is a total of $9,096.16. I spent on me $1,220.61 for a percentage of, I lived on 13.42% of the total income that came in. Again, my goal in July is to live on less than 10% of my total income and put over 90% of my income towards debt paydown. I just wanted to give you a breakdown of how much I have in each of my retirement accounts that I have with my teaching income plus my health savings account, and also let you know that I have access to three of these different retirement accounts, but there's a fourth one that I do not have access to. If I wanted to access one of these for debt paydown, I could do that. However, in talking with my friends, we decided that I need to go through the pain of paying down these debts and keep my retirement accounts and let them grow so that I do not debt in the future. And that is our goal, is to close one of the lines of credit and not use the credit card, run up a balance on it, and not use my emergency line of credit anymore. I am to build up an emergency fund of cash so that I do not need credit anymore as an emergency backstop. So in one college, I have $30,487. Another college where I'm no longer teaching, I have access to $35,000. The first college, I can access that money even though I'm still working there. In my health savings account, I have $37,000. That I can access because I have receipts that I have saved up for my health expenses. So I could access that at any time, but I am not going to access that money. I'm going to let it grow. It's in very aggressive investments. My one college where I cannot touch the money is $75,623, and that money is locked in until I leave that college. And I do not plan on leaving that college anytime soon. I am still waiting on the refund for the overpayment that I did with the federal government. Here it shows $2,330. However, the IRS sent me a note saying they're charging me an extra $300 for something that was miscalculated, and so I will not get back the full $2,330. However, they did mail out the check yesterday, and so I am expecting that within the next week, and I will just simply return that to the IRS for 2026 payments. So thank you for watching my June recap and my estimation for July. Remember, never let your past determine your future.